Hey, what's up guys? John here. California just banned house flipping, real estate investing, real estate speculation, anyone that buys a property and sells it within 3 years. And it's not a complete outright ban, but it's a insane new tax that will take away any incentive for anyone to invest in any community in California. And to me, what's very fascinating, I think we've all learned a lot of the last couple of years, is that now politicians take it amongst themselves to dictate and determine what is fair capitalism. When in reality we look at water companies, for example, look at Apple or Microsoft or Netflix or Disney or any company, their business model is that they buy a product or they supply a product or service at this cost and they sell it at that cost, and the difference is their profit. Well, when real estate investors and mom and pop landlords and speculators attempt to do the same thing, they are then demonized as the problem, as why everything is so unaffordable, when in reality, things are so unaffordable because of what a lot of these politicians have done to the economy and what they have done to every single person in the state of California and this country. Now, what we're going to see here with this new ban is pretty insane to me. And I'm going to walk you through an example of what this is going to look like step by step so you can see what this is going to do to the economy and you can get prepared. Maybe you live in New York and you're like, this doesn't apply to me. Well, generally what happens in California goes to New York. And what happens in New York ends up going to Illinois and other locations, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. This is an important, very important matter for anyone in the real estate space or anyone that loves capitalism. Please hit that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content and educate more people about what's really going on. Bill to tax house flippers and speculators 25% moves to Assembly Committee. A bill that massively tax house flippers and speculators who buy and sell a house within 3 years was moved to the Assembly Committee on Revenue and Taxation earlier this week. Assembly Bill 1771 authorized the Assemblyman Chris Ward of San Diego would impose a 25% tax on all net capital gain from the sale or exchange of homes or properties. While the tax may be reduced if significant time has passed, those qualified taxpayers who buy and sell a house within 3 years would need to pay the tax. All revenue from this tax would go to the Speculation Recapture Community Reinvestment Fund. So you could move to California, buy a property, then in a couple of years, say you have a job change, you want to sell your property. If it's not after 3 years, you're going to be subject to this new tax. So it's 25%. That's the total number, 25%. However, if you are inside this category, you have short-term capital gains of 15%. You have self-employment tax, 15%. California tax of 10%. This new 25% tax, and then if you make over a certain income, there's a 1% tax for mental health services, and the total tax is 66%. Now, let's say that you live in a middle-class area in California, like East LA or, working class community, and a home is $500,000, pretty conservative, right? $500,000, and it needs a lot of work. So you put in $150,000 in this rehab. Then you try to sell it for $799, right? And make a net gain of $149,000. But you have to pay your realtor fees, your escrow costs, your closing costs. That's 6%. So you have $47,940 in cost. Then it brings your profit to $101,060. Then you have to deduct your carrying costs, like your mortgage payments, your taxes, your utility bills. Let's say you owned it for 8 months. That's $24,000 in cost. So your gross profit then becomes $77,060. Well, with the new tax structure, with 66% going to California, they get $50,859, and the real net profit becomes $26,240. And it's over 8 months, right? So you're working on this 8 months. You're making $3,275 per month, $818 per week, and $20 per hour, right? So we're looking at the 290,000 licensed contractors in the state of California. If you've ever done any work in California on any properties, you realize that not everyone that's working is a licensed contractor. A lot of them are working under the table. A lot of them are from Mexico, working class people that are hard working. They show up and they work very, very hard, right? We're going to see potentially millions of people that are working on residential real estate for house flippers, for investors that are going to have a harder time finding a job, right? But what I find very fascinating here is that with this new structure where they're pointing the finger at house flippers and renovators, what they're really saying is us politicians deserve and are entitled to tell you what you can and can't do with your property and what rights you have as property owners. That's what they're essentially saying. And then they're not taking any responsibility for the zoning laws, for any of the housing problems in which they've caused through rent regulation, through zoning, through all these policies that they have. So they're pushing the blame, and then once they have that, then they're going to be able to say, hey, look, this problem still isn't solved. We need more radical measures. And it's going to continue to escalate and escalate and escalate. But what I think will be fascinating is you have 290,000 licensed contractors. How many are actually going to be working for house flippers if this ends up going through, right? We have a couple other problems that we're looking at with house flippers right now with increased material cost, we have increased labor cost, we have the supply chain issues, we have all these problems hitting the housing market. But this, to me, looks like we're kind of stepping into this new form of capitalism in which it's no longer a free market. We've kind of already seen that with some of the moratoriums and some of these regulations that have come out. They go on to say the bill, also known as California Housing Speculation Act, would go into effect immediately as a tax levy for all taxable years beginning in 2023, as AB 1771 would result in tax change. 2/3 of each house would need to approve for passage. Assemblyman Ward wrote the bill to specifically target short-term investors who buy homes and other properties, keep them for some time, and then sell them at a profit a short time later. This also actually benefits them in a really big way. A lot of capital companies, a lot of real estate investment firms, because these firms, they see the gain in holding on to these properties long term. So it's going to be less competition for them. They're going to be able to go out there and acquire properties at a lower price because there's going to be less money competing for these properties. This includes house flippers who renovate properties and sell back, speculators who often outbid other buyers in hopes that home prices rise significantly, and cash-only buyers. Right? Also, a lot of cash-only buyers, people think that they just have all this money. A lot of them will use a company like a private lender, a hard money lender, and purchase the property all cash. And really there's an outstanding note on that property. It's not as if they're sitting on $1 million and they just purchase the property all cash. It's the lender that's purchasing it all cash. Speculators who are taking gobs of tens of millions of dollars out of the community through the cumulative effort of all these transactions. That's not fair either, because the people that are left struggling are people who get outbid 30 times to get into their home. Said Assemblyman Ward this week, it would be an additional income tax on profit gain from a sale that occurred within 3 years of the previous sale. But we've also seen an influx of short-term investors trying to get into the market, outbid San Diegans and Californians with all cash offers and drive up prices for everyone. So if somebody is trying to go in there, fix up a fixer-upper and then sell it for record profits, that is distorting the market because somebody else could have gone in there, done the same, and kept the home. The bill targets housing speculators, house flippers. Ward also cites the California Association of Realtors quarterly index, who found California's median price for a single-family home raised 17% to $814,580 in the third quarter of 2021, while near-record lows of 42% of Californians could meet home buying qualification standards. At the same time, investor buyers accounted for 51% of all sales in Southern California. Again, these are statistics that they've come up with. I'm not sure if these are actually accurate. Ward also charges that investor buyers have depleted the market and increased demand for housing, have caused home prices to go up, and have pushed out middle-class income buyers. While the bill has yet to receive significant support in the assembly yet, many investors and those in real estate have come out in opposition to the bill, arguing that many cash buyers are not investors, that many house flippers renovate properties that would have otherwise made them unmarketable, and that local investors would be pushed out for larger investing firms who could easily take 25% tax if passed, decreasing the supply even further. It gets rid of mom and pop house flipping companies that renovate for generally smaller profits and allows only large firms to come in and sit on the properties. Michelle Corning, a real estate agent in Southern California, told the Globe Thursday, if you really want to change, either make it an open market or just ban all companies and people associated with housing investment firms to buy houses. Seriously though, this real solution is just to build more homes and reduce vacation rentals. If you pass a new law stopping all vacation rentals in beachside areas, the market will be flooded with new homes overnight. Not ideal, but a reduction would spur more to be on the market. What we're unfortunately going to be seeing over California and New York and a lot of states, probably many of them, is going to be more and more and more of a demand for power from these politicians to solve this issue. That's the real sad part here. When she is saying that, oh, we should, potentially do an outright ban. This is not America. We don't just do an outright ban on an entire real estate market, an entire segment. What that would ultimately do with all markets, when you have an outright ban on something, you are going to deplete not just that market, you're going to deplete everything that's going to be associated with that specific segment. Now, when you do this with the real estate market, what you're ultimately going to do is you're going to see schools fall apart. You're going to see crime go through the roof. Police departments are going to be underfunded. Everything's going to be underfunded because the values of these properties are going to go down, and so is the tax revenue. But it's not only a number of houses either. Investors get tax write-offs from mortgage interest and property taxes. That's where you can really get investors. Or from depreciation, an added tax is a simple knee-jerk solution. There's a lot more to go after. If you really want to reduce investors from buying properties, if you know where to look, if passed AB 1771 would come into effect next year. What do you think about this? What do you think about this new demand for power from these politicians on the housing market, on our everyday lives, through real estate investing, through everything? I mean, you look at all of these things, even, Biden came out saying, yeah, gas prices are going to be going up, but they're closing up pipelines. They're pushing things in a direction to make things more challenging. What do you think this will do? What do you think this is going to do to the real estate market? Drop your comments below. Let's talk about it. Hit that like button. Subscribe here. Consider subbing on my second channel as well as my TikTok. I'm going to leave links down for everything down below. Top comment. Catch you guys later.